Have you ever wondered why an 8-month-old child is not able to walk properly, whereas you are a master in it? And the same you, if you are made to walk on a tightrope, you will behave like that 8 months old. Whereas a professional will come and walk on it like a cakewalk. What is there in our body which governs all such things? To know the answer and many such interesting facts, see the video in total. Answer is provided therein, but you have to look for it. All my viewers, I welcome you all to my channel, Ekta Singvi Classes, and today we are here to know about nervous system of man. The system which is the most powerful in this entire world. It is this system which has made man the most successful of all species on earth for all time. So let us today try to understand what is so special about this system, what is it made up of, and what function does they all perform. Nervous system of man can be very comfortably divided into three parts: central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and autonomous nervous system. In this video, we shall be dealing about this part, which consists of brain and spinal cord. We shall be talking about brain and spinal cord in this video. Peripheral nervous system and autonomous nervous system will be dealt in the next video. So as I told you, we shall be learning this concept in the simplest of language. Here I am with the most simplest representation of brain and spinal cord. Now, suppose this is brain, it is in the head portion of man, and brain is continued along with spinal cord. It runs throughout vertebral column up till the tailbone. Now, the brain, since it is so important an organ and it is very delicate, made up of soft tissues, it needs a good protection. So, what is it protected with? It is protected with a very thick bone which is known as cranium, which we call skull even. Cranium is 8 millimeter thick bone and it protects the brain entirely. Just in the down portion of skull, there is a hole through which spinal cord will come out, and that hole is known as foramen magnum. Otherwise, skull is compact bone with just eye socket and some hole for the ear. So, skull. Beneath the skull, there is a thin membrane which protects the soft tissue of brain, and this is known as meninges. Meninges has got three layers. The outermost layer, which is in contact with skull, that is known as dura mater. Beneath that is second layer, which is known as arachnoid matter, and beneath that is the third layer, which is known as pia mater. These three meninges protect the soft tissue of. Now, between arachnoid matter and pia matter, there is a liquid layer which is known as cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid. This fluid is very important because it acts as shock absorbent, or the head is vibrated a lot. So those things will be absorbed by this liquid which is known as cerebrospinal fluid. Now it is between these two layers. This liquid is secreted by a cavity in the brain which is known as lateral ventricle. It is deep within the brain tissue, some empty spaces which are lined by choroid plexus. It is made up of special cells called ependymal cell, and they line this lateral canal, and this tissue, it secretes the cerebrospinal fluid. Now from here it goes to third ventricle, fourth ventricle, and from there it covers the entire length of spinal cord also, and it also goes within these two membranes of the meninges, and the cerebrospinal fluid acts as a shock absorbent for brain. From outside also, internally also, and it also provides nourishment to the brain. Cerebrospinal fluid is very important to maintain the integrity of bone, of brain tissues. Now let us talk about brain tissue. What is brain tissue? Brain is basically made up of neurons. 90% of brain cells are neurons. We all know that neurons are those kind of special cells which do not divide. They do not have any centrosome, so they do not divide in our entire lifespan. Whatever neuron we are born with immense, huge amount of neurons, 100 billion of them. But this will remain either throughout the life, but they don't do so. They get a lot of them get destroyed along the way. But even if they are destroyed, they do not regenerate. Regeneration capacity is not there in the neurons because they lack centrosome. And apart from this, there are some glial cells. 10% cells of brain and spinal cord are glial cells. They also provide nourishment to the brain cells. Now, sometimes we hear that brain develops tumor or cancer, and we know cancer is some uncontrolled cell division, isn't it? Here the question is, neurons do not divide, so how come brain develops tumor? Brain develops tumor not because of neurons, but because of glial cells. Glial cells divide. So, in times of brain tumor, glial cell becomes uncontrolled division. It shows uncontrolled division. So, that's all about the brain tissue. Now, let us see the structure of brain and different parts and their functions of brain. Now, let us talk about the internal structure of brain. Brain, as you all know, is made up of very soft tissue, which is 90% neurons and 10% glial cell. It is covered with cranium. Now, cranium has got a limited area, but the internal tissue is too huge in amount. The weight of an average human brain is somewhere between 1200 gram to 1600 gram, entirely composed of neurons and glial cells. 10,000 million neurons are there, we know that. So it is a huge amount. It cannot be fitted in cranium just like that. Now, to fit such huge volume in cranium, it gets folded. They are infoldings, and these infoldings, they form sulcus and gyrus. The lower portion is known as sulcus and the upper portion of the folding is known as gyrus. So they are in this way fitted inside the skull, the soft tissue of brain. Now, brain is 66% of brain is taken by cerebrum, the top portion. Here also sulcus, gyrus and all this. This portion is cerebrum. Entire zone, top, front, back, everything is covered by cerebrum, and they are present in two hemispheres, right hemisphere and left hemisphere. These two hemispheres are joined by a fiber. This is a fiber. It is known as, a fiber connection is there. It is known as corpus callosum. Here also, this is the fiber. Corpus callosum, it joins the two sides of the cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest part of brain. Cerebrum is the largest part of brain. It consumes 66% of entire brain area. Cerebrum is the site of all the rational thinking, learning, memory, curiosity. Everything that we learn, we do, we think, we do it from cerebrum. Cerebrum handles all these activities of our brain. The thing which is known as mind, conscious mind, subconscious mind, all these things are represented by cerebrum. And they are divided into 4 lobes. The front portion is known as frontal lobe. If we see from here, this portion will be frontal lobe of the cerebrum. Then on the side there is temporal lobe where there is ear. On the middle portion is parietal lobe, and on the down portion it is occipital lobe. So this is frontal, this is temporal, this is parietal, and this is occipital. These are the 4 zones of cerebrum. They all do different functions. So cerebrum is the biggest part of the brain. After this, after the cerebrum, there is cerebellum, which is second largest part of the brain. It is structure of hindbrain and located at the back portion of our head. This portion is cerebellum. This portion is cerebellum, and it is the second largest part of brain. Cerebellum handles balance of body. Bellum, balance. Cerebellum, balance. Bellum, balance. That way you can remember. Cerebellum handles the balance of the body. Here what we have to know is the name of different parts and what is the function of, what are their functions. That is what basically we need to know. So cerebrum, then cerebrum, just inside the cerebrum there is a place which is known as thalamus. Thalamus controls the outer environment, our reception of the outer environment, how hot it is, how cold it is, if somebody is hitting us, if we are getting pain from outside. All these things are let known to us by the thalamus. It is also part of forebrain along with cerebrum. Cerebrum, thalamus, and then a short part, small part which is known as hypothalamus. Most important structure, hypothalamus, because it governs the hormone secretion of our body. Hypothalamus is the center for all type of emotions like anger, love, hate, then the heat production of the body, sweat, everything is controlled by hypothalamus. It controls another organ which is known as pituitary. Here we see a small organ which is known as pituitary. Pituitary is also managed by hypothalamus. So hypothalamus is in control of all the hormones of our body, which are again so important for metabolism of our body. So hypothalamus is a very important structure. It is present in the forebrain, just beneath the cerebrum. Then we have something called midbrain. This portion just beneath the thalamus, this is midbrain. Midbrain. It consists of one structure which is known as tapetum. Tapetum is concerned with us seeing, the sight and the hearing. These two function controlled by tapetum of the midbrain. Second part of midbrain is, one is tapetum and the other portion is cerebral peduncle. Tapetum and cerebral peduncle. Cerebral peduncle acts as a connection between the cerebrum and the brain stem. Cerebral peduncle. All the information going coming happens by cerebral peduncle. Below the midbrain is the hindbrain structure which is known as pons. Below the pons is medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. Medulla manages all the metabolism of the body. The heart rate, digestion, breathing, everything is maintained by medulla oblongata. It controls the metabolism of the body, medulla oblongata. Pons, medulla oblongata and midbrain, they are together known as brainstem. Brainstem. Sometimes question comes, what is brainstem? So midbrain, pons and medulla oblongata, because they are in the same line, they are together known as brainstem. Now brainstem is continued in the spinal cord. Brainstem continues with the spinal cord. So this is the structure of brain. The structure of brain and their function is very important. Function of cerebrum, thinking, learning, memory and curiosity, everything is handled by cerebrum. Then we have thalamus and hypothalamus. Thalamus lets us know about the outer environment. Hypothalamus lets us know about the internal environment, manages the internal environment of the body. Then we have midbrain which concerns with sight and hearing, that is tapetum, and cerebral peduncle. It forms a connection between cerebrum and the spinal cord. Then we have hindbrain, pons, medulla oblongata and cerebellum. Medulla oblongata manages the metabolism of the body and cerebellum manages balance of the body. So this is all about brain. Then we have sulcus and gyrus, I told you. And what else is left? I think this will do. So for brain we need to know this much. Now we shall see spinal cord. There is a correction to be made. I have been mentioning this portion as tapetum. It is not tapetum but it is tectum. The two parts of midbrain are tectum and cerebral peduncle. And one more thing, this diagram that we are seeing, it is the side view of brain. Suppose if this is the face, this is the side view of brain and this is the top view of brain. Here we can see different lobes of cerebrum. Then we can see cerebellum, pons. This portion is pons and this portion is the brainstem continued with the spinal cord. This is spinal cord. And here, two bulb-like structure that we see, this is olfactory nerve and this is optic nerve. Olfactory nerve, optic nerve, these are sensory nerve. These are the first two pairs of nerve from brain. From brain we get total of 12 pairs of nerve. 12 pairs of nerves. And we have to remember the names of each of these 12 pairs. This is very important. These are first two pairs, these are the sensory nerve. After this we have 10 more pairs. First is olfactory, then optic, then oculomotor, then like this, and finally 10th is vagus nerve, which is very important. Out of these, few are sensory nerve, like these two are sensory nerve, few are just motor nerve, like oculomotor, it is motor nerve, and the rest are mixed nerve. So these names are important to know. Now let us see what spinal cord is all about. So as we all know, spinal cord comes out from the foramen magnum and it continues all the way down to the tailbone, and it is surrounded by vertebral column. Spinal cord also has a layer of protection which was called meninges. It also has the meninges covering around itself, which secretes cerebrospinal fluid. And in the central portion also there is a central canal in which there is cerebrospinal fluid. Central canal with cerebrospinal fluid. It gives protection and lubrication. So this is the central canal. Now, if we take a transverse section of spinal cord, it will be seen something like this. This is the round portion. Outside it is white matter and inside it is grey matter. The setup is opposite that of the brain. Here, white matter is outside, grey matter is inside. Now, we know that from spinal cord comes out 31 pairs of nerves. So this is one pair of nerve. It comes out from within the vertebrae, 31 pairs of nerves. This is, here we are showing one pair of nerve. Now we have to see what is this nerve made up of. So let us try to understand that. So here, as you can see, this is a structure. Here one root is coming out, here one root is coming out. This kind of canal-like system, it is called root here. So this is dorsal root and ventral root depending on the position of our body. We know the dorsal and ventral position, so the roots are also coming out according to that position, and it is known as dorsal and ventral root. In the dorsal root there is one nerve which is the sensory nerve. Now sensory nerve, as we all know, it brings senses from outside. So it is bringing the sensation from outside to the spinal cord. Here there is one interneuron which will take this connection for this stimulus further. This interneuron will give it to another nerve which will basically take the command from spinal cord to outside, maybe muscle or skin, whatever, to the end organ. So sensory nerve and motor nerve. Sensory nerve and motor nerve. Each of the nerve of spinal cord has these two arms in them. One is the afferent nerve and the other is efferent nerve. Sensory nerve and motor nerve, as it is called, the same thing. And so each nerve of spinal cord is a mixed nerve. This is an important thing. Another important thing is the reflex arc. This is the reflex arc. Reflex arc. Many times question is asked on what is reflex arc. So reflex arc is nothing but it is just this dorsal root first, which contains the sensory nerve. Dorsal root contains the sensory nerve. Then this interneuron, this is the second part of reflex arc, and the motor nerve, this is the third part of reflex arc. So reflex arc consists of these three parts: sensory nerve, interneuron, motor nerve. Sensory nerve or afferent nerve, interneuron, and motor nerve or efferent nerve. These three nerves make the reflex arc. A very important question, reflex arc. So basically spinal cord is that it takes decisions sometimes on its own, and on this depends the reflex action. Reflex action is solely because of spinal cord. All the action that happens suddenly, like coughing, blinking of eyes, we get shocked like this if somebody is calling us from behind or like that. So all this kind of sudden work is managed by spinal cord, and that is known as reflex action. This is one function of spinal cord, and the other function is relaying the matter to brain. We have covered the central nervous system, which is brain and spinal cord. We have also spoken about the function of these two organs and what these structures look like. With this we come to the end of this video. In the next video we shall be talking about peripheral nervous system and autonomous nervous system. Please stay with me, see the video till the end. Thank you very much for seeing this video. If you liked it, please give like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you.